For millennia, the cowfolk of Hefferton grazed the lands and roamed in mighty herds, oblivious to the troubles of this world. They were a peaceful race and did not involve themselves in the affairs of others. Their leader, the benevolent Bovina, guided them through the annals of time, and through her teachings, and by the power of her beastings, the Heiferfolk thrived. They created a vast empire that stretched across a large portion of what is now modern-day Loywin. They built great castles, and it was said that the river Vitulus once flowed with the purest milk in all the land. None dared to oppose Bovina and her children at the height of their power. Despite the Heiferfolk having little interest in warfare and violence, the other races of Eskean did not see them as weak, and it was advised by all not to interfere with their affairs. That was until the year 2004 BC, when famine came to the south. Men, women, and children all starved and died by the thousands, until the ancient coastal chieftains were left with only two options: to allow anarchy to continue as their societies crumbled to dust around them, or to invade Hefferton to the north and plunder what they could to survive. Due to the preconceived notion that no soul would dare attack the Heiferfolk, the race of bovines were woefully unprepared for a full-on invasion of their homeland, and were drastically caught off guard by the invading armies of the south. Eventually, the Heiferfolk mustered their forces and struck back at the men who had led the assault on them. Brutal warfare plagued the land for several years, the might of Hefferton matched only by the desperation of humanity. Upon reaching an impasse, both sides agreed to a temporary truce, during which a meeting would be held at the Great Citadel in the heart of Hefferton. At this meeting, Bovina promised the men of the south that she would do all she could to assist them in surviving the famine, as long as they withdrew all their forces from her lands until the end of time. With this assurance, the Treaty of the Golden Udder was signed, signifying a lasting peace between the two races. The coastal chieftains returned to their homes and would never again invade Hefferton. Following the signing of the treaty, Bovina had her people work tirelessly for 100 days and 100 nights to dam the river Vitulus and redirect its course south through the heart of Loywin. Foreign sorcerers were then brought in to cast an ancient spell on the land. The dam was then removed, and the river miraculously flowed in two directions, east and south. It fed not only its original course, but also now a new course which it had carved out, spilling life back into ancient Loywin. After only a year, the land turned a vibrant green, and the Bay of Ibarius on the southern coast was renamed the Emerald Bay. For nearly 2,000 years, Bovina nurtured both mankind and Heiferfolk alike, spreading her teachings across the lands until one day she informed her followers that her time here in Eskean was done. She then faded into the ether, ascending to godhood. Hope began to dwindle in the following years. The people of Loywin and Hefferton knew not how to behave following the departure of Bovina. However, during this time in the year 0 AC, a particularly significant carving occurred, though its significance would not become known until much later, for in the year 16 AC, an unnatural, disastrous force of nature swept across the Hefferton region, stripping it bare and leaving naught but ruins and ash. So quick was the destruction, it was said that the Heiferfolk had only hours to prepare for their impending doom. There were little to no survivors following this apocalyptic event, save for a few, though they would eventually become disillusioned with the teachings of Bovina and would separate from the herd. Following this period, a dark age ensued, lasting around 150 years until one day in the year 168 AC, hope was renewed among the race of men. Ephrath MacDoilith, at the time known as the last of the Heiferfolk, emerged from the soot and ash left behind at the cataclysm of Hefferton. She began spreading Bovina's gospel once more, winning over the hearts and minds of the people of Loywin. They declared her as Queen of the South, and the rest is history. To this day, it is not known what became of the rest of the Heiferfolk. With the death of Queen Ephrath I and her subsequent ascension to godhood in the year 350 AC, the race was officially labelled extinct, as no pure-blood Heiferfolk have made themselves known in recent times. Perhaps they simply faded into nothing as time passed, allowing themselves to wither and die in a vain attempt to reunite themselves with their beloved Bovina. Or perhaps there is still a community of cowfolk hidden away in some distant mountain range or at the far corners of the world, waiting to be found. But for now, the story of the Heiferfolk and their homeland is over, though their influence on the great land of Eskean can still be seen to this very day.